Well, happy 4th of July, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Wisdom from the Word. Thank you for joining us today. Our passage is going to come from Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10, which says this: "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight." Now, this phrase, or something like it, occurs multiple times in the book of Proverbs. And it occurs in Psalms, it occurs in Job, and the Bible talking about the fear of the Lord in general shows up even more still. Now, if anything is written in our Bibles, it's important. It is for us, and we need to pay attention to what God is saying to us. But if it occurs many times in our Bible, then we really need to zero in and hear what God has for us today. Foundational to our access to wisdom and to knowledge is this idea of the fear of the Lord. So what does that mean? Well, much ink has been spilt in an attempt to fully and accurately answer that question. When we think about fearing God, often we think of the God of the Old Testament, when he was angry. And now we serve a loving God, which is a false difference. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And in our New Testaments, Philippians 2:12 tells us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. God is at work in us, and we are not to take that fact lightly. Although 1 John chapter 4 tells us that perfect love drives out all fear. So what are we to do with this tension? Well, Martin Luther helps us here with a distinction between two different kinds of fear. On one hand, there's servile fear, which is the fear of a servant or a slave for their harsh and unfair master, of a prisoner for his jailer. And when the Bible talks about the fear of the Lord, that is not what it is talking about. But there's another kind of fear that he calls filial fear, which is this idea of family. It is the fear of a child for their father. It's the idea of reverence, of respect, of fellowship. There's also a recognition of submission and discipline. There's going to be a part of that relationship, but it is life-giving and affirming, not draining. This is what is intended when the Bible talks about the fear of the Lord. One writer put it this way: fearing the Lord means to be in awe of his holiness, to give him complete reverence, and to honor him as the God of great glory, majesty, purity, and power. It means that we don't take God lightly. Another way of thinking about it is this: when we fear people's opinions, it's not because we don't want them to have opinions of us. We want them to have positive opinions of us. We want people to think of us well, and we fear the idea of losing that. It's the same way with our God. We recognize his power, we recognize his beauty and his majesty, and we fear the idea of losing him. So how does this lead us to wisdom? Well, truth has been defined as correspondence with reality, seeing things the way they actually are. So how could we expect to move through the world with wisdom and knowledge without recognizing this fundamental reality, that there is a God, and he is a great and glorious God, and he rewards those who earnestly seek him, and punishment is waiting for those who reject him and deny his love? To navigate this changing, shifting, messy world, we need a rock for our feet. And our God is that rock in the beginning of wisdom. Confession. 2020 has been a hard year. There's been a lot going on, and we're all feeling it, and we're all experiencing it. Coronavirus, race riots, divorces, deaths. There's a lot going on, and it is tough to find a way to navigate how to think through all of it, to know what the facts are, much less what to do about them. And I've just been struck in a fresh way with my need for the wisdom of God. I think sometimes when things are normal, we think we can make it on our own, that we are clever enough and smart enough to make our way through this world. But this year, I think, has been a wake-up call for a lot of us that we need the Lord every hour of every day. And as I've been praying through this little talk that we're having right now, I was comforted by this idea of the fear of the Lord. So first, Nehemiah 1, chapter 11 says something interesting. It says, "O Lord, let your ear be attentive to the prayer of your servant and to the prayer of your servants who delight to fear your name. Delight. That this fear is not a negative emotion, but it is wrapped up in and intertwined with this idea of joy, of delight. But walking with God is the best thing for us. So let's plant ourselves firmly on the rock that is our God. Let's view not our circumstances, but our Lord with awe. He will lead us in wisdom if we will walk in the fear of the Lord. So let's keep that walk together, church family. Thank you for joining today. Have a great day.